Good evening. Welcome back to the Celtic Way. It's Celtic versus Kilmarnock Scottish Cup 4th round. Team news and reaction podcast briefing, call it what you like. I'm Tony Haggerty, Haggerty10 on the Exeter Twitter handle, and I'm joined by Ryan McGinlay, who's clearly somewhere in a car park near Celtic Park, at the Ryan McGinlay, the Exeter Twitter handle for Ryan. Ryan, how are you, sir?
Things are good, yeah. It's getting a wee bit darker already. It's a bit later than the 3 o'clock kickoffs we're usually accustomed to. 5:30 kickoff. Terrible time for a kickoff, but we're not complaining too much. Celtic in the Scottish Cup, a really strong team. If you want me to just go through the team, Tony, I'll go through it very quickly. I'm just having a wee look at my laptop that's down at the bottom. It's actually on the ground at the moment, but I'll just read out the team in full. So it's Casper Schmeichel in goals, a back four of Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Austin Trusty and Greg Taylor. Midfield three of Callum McGregor, Arne Engels and Rio Hatate. Nicholas Kuna on the right, he returns. Daizen Maeda on the left, he returns. And Kyogo Furuhashi up front. You've got the subs today are Sinisalo, Scales, Ida, Bailly, Yang, McCowan, Bernardo and Ralston. So a very strong lineup, strong bench. Looks like a cup team, doesn't it, Tony? A proper strong 11.
Very much so. But before I start, Ryan, I just wanted to say my condolences to the Law family. Don't care what team you support. The passing of Dennis Law is something that every Scottish football supporter will be wounded by, hurt by, and possibly upset by. Ryan, he is a bona fide Scottish football legend. I spoke to him once. And I phoned him up and I asked him, and if he would, I'd never spoken to him in my life. You know that time when you do that kind of dial up, run up with your fingers, and you're thinking, I'm about to speak to an absolute king, a legend. And he couldn't have been any nicer with me. And I was asking Scottish football legends if they were going to support England during a particular World Cup finals. And he said to me, Tony, I've never spoken to you before, but why would I support England? I'm Scottish. And I was just like, and I lost all shape, and I just said, Dennis, I love you. And he said, you're not so bad yourself, kid. He's like, you have my number, you can phone me whenever you want. And it's nice to talk to you. And I just thought, I wish every legend was like Dennis Law. And he thanked me for calling him a legend as well. And so when he passed away yesterday, Ryan, I think there was a great disturbance in the football force, especially in Scotland. And I've been reading all sorts of tributes. I think you even put one up on your Twitter feed, Henry Winter's tribute, which was excellent. But he was just, everybody thought so highly of him. And the one and only Scottish player, Ryan, to win the Ballon d'Or, that ain't happening again ever. No. So rest in peace, Dennis Law. And I just wanted to say my condolences to the lawman and his family. And, I know it's not Celtic related, but it had to be worth a mention, Ryan.
Absolutely. One of the best Scottish players to ever grace the game, grace the football pitch. As you said, the only Ballon d'Or winner, Man United legend, Aberdeen legend. He will be fondly remembered and sadly forgotten, or sadly never forgotten. Yeah. That Henry Winter tribute that I put up last night, I was reading it, I was out somewhere last night and I read it and it actually stopped me in my tracks because of how good it was. You read something at the start and you keep on going. And it was one of those long forms, and I think that's one of the really good things about Twitter. I know there's a lot of bad in Twitter at the moment, but the ability to read those long-form tributes, I thought it was absolutely incredible. Really, such an interesting character. The fact that he wanted to be an architect and not a football player, but he had a God-given talent to grace the football pitch. And condolences to his family and friends and all his loved ones.
For an architect, he was a pretty good footballer, Ryan. There's 3 people in my lifetime who have been called kings. There was King Kenny, and there was the King of Kings, but I think Dennis Law was the original king, and I'll bow to that. And as I say, condolences to the Law family, and long live the king, as they say. He will live on in everybody's memory. So cheers for that, Ryan. Thank you for letting me say that. Now, Celtic Kilmarnock, you said there, that's a Scottish Cup team. Interesting quotes from Brendan Rodgers yesterday saying Celtic are not defending the trophy. They've got to win it again. I thought that was quite an interesting thing that he said, Ryan. So it's clearly kind of his mood, how he feels about this cup competition. He's desperate to win it again. Celtic won it. Adam Ida's last gasp goal against Rangers in the final last season. This is the first hurdle, Ryan. Kilmarnock at home, fellow Scottish Premiership side. It won't be easy, will it?
No, certainly not. I think it's probably the most difficult tie that a top flight team has got for both sides. Kilmarnock have got Celtic, the holders, the champions of Scotland, and Celtic have got Kilmarnock, a team that have caused them problems, albeit not this season, but in the seasons before. You think of last season, their record against Celtic was exemplary.
Yeah.
Pretty mixed, which is good for a Scottish team against Celtic. You're not really asking for much more in that regard. They definitely bloodied Celtic's nose a couple of times. McInnes is a good manager. I hear so much saying that he's not a great manager. I think he is for this level. I think he's one of the better operators in Scottish football. It's a difficult tie, but I think it suits Celtic, the fact that they're playing against Kilmarnock, a top flight team, a team that should be pushing towards the higher end of the table. So I think it should suit Celtic in the long run. I think that's seen in the squad lineup today, the fact that there's so many first team players or players that you would call first picks in the starting lineup. You've got Engels back, you've got Tati back, Nicholas Kuhn and Daizen Maeda back from injury respectively. I know Kuhn had a big influence on Tuesday night's game, but he starts for the first time in a few matches. So good to see that, and good to see Kyogo leading the line as well, and an unchanged back line as well. I'm glad that Rodgers has persisted with Austin Trusty, give him game time and allow him to play out to get a better performance than last time out against Dundee. I like that management from the manager, and it shows why he's an elite level manager, to be honest.
Correct. And also, Ryan, it shows you how serious he's taken the cup competition, because we were talking the team that starts today, we reckon that'll be more or less a mirror image of the team that takes to the field against Young Boys of Bern in midweek. So I think he's maybe got an eye on that game, hasn't he? As well.
I would say. Yeah, I would say so. For me, I think the objective will be win the game within 50, 60 minutes and take these players off, the players that are going to be so important against Young Boys on Wednesday night. Now, it might not turn out that way. It might be a difficult tie in which Celtic have to win it late on, or the unthinkable might happen and they don't get through. I don't even want to think about that at this moment in time, but it is a difficult tie against a good opponent. The plan will be, I think, to get the game won within, half time if you can, but 50, 60 minutes, and then rotate, bring on the likes of Yang, bring on Ralston for Johnson, bring on Bernardo for Hattati or Engels, get the job done, and then they can focus on Wednesday night's game, which we've been talking about. I think it's Celtic's biggest European tie in nearly 20 years or so, in terms of getting to the next stage, the next round. I think it's absolutely massive. And in terms of watching Celtic and growing up with Celtic, I can't think of a bigger game. I know it's against Young Boys, it's not a glamour game, but in terms of what it means for Celtic and the way that their European campaign is going, I think it's going to be so important that they win that game on Wednesday. So all focus can be on that once the game is won today. But
yes,
right now it's all about beating Kilmarnock, beating the team that's in front of you, and getting through to the next round of the cup that you're, even though they're not defending it, it is their trophy and they don't want to lose it.
I'm surprised, Ryan, not to see Johnny Kenny in the substitutes bench. Bit miffed at that as well, but I guess the manager might explain that. Somebody might ask him beforehand or after. But are you surprised at that as well?
Yeah, I would say I am, definitely, because I thought he would get a bit of game time. I think that's maybe down to the fact that he didn't get game time against Dundee during the week, which is maybe going into his thinking. Daniel Cummins isn't there as well. They're both youth strikers, and they don't get game time respectively. It's just a strong team, Tony, and there's so many people who can fit on the bench. The fact that they're not on the bench shows how strong the squad lineup is. But they've got Kyogo leading the line. They've got Adam Mida that can come off the bench. They're pretty well stocked in that area. And Johnny Kenny and Daniel Cummins, if they get another chance, they'll need to take it, basically.
Yeah. Speaking of Adam Mida, I spoke to John Hartson and I got an article on the website if you're interested in that. And John Hartson's keeping faith with Adam Mida, and he outlines how he can get his hero status or reclaim his hero status back at Celtic. If you want to have a read at that, it's on the website before the game if you've got time and you're that way inclined. Ryan, it is a strong team. We spoke about it in the lead up to this. We thought he would go hard and he would go strong, and he has. And as I say, that's just an indication of how Celtic are treating this as the warm up to Wednesday night. And I think, as you say, he will make those changes if and when he can, but he was given those players game time ahead of Wednesday. But you can only think about Wednesday after you've done the job today, Ryan. So what are you expecting today from Celtic?
it's a different hope and expectancy, isn't it? With
Yeah.
Celtic at the moment, you don't really know what Celtic are going to turn up. The fact it's a home game would give you a lot more confidence, because it's been on their travels that they've struggled in terms of maybe dropping points, not getting the required results both in Europe and domestically. But at home they've been pretty good, so I would expect a bit of a response from Celtic today. They'll be looking for a clean sheet, because they conceded 3 goals against Dundee. They had no control in that second half. That's something that needs to be remedied. They need to take control of these games, and I would expect them to, especially at home. Had an intruder in the video there. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I would expect Celtic to come out flying, to be honest with you. I think they'll be annoyed with the way that the Tuesday night's game transpired, especially the second half. They'll be wanting to put things right. Not in terms of the league, because it's obviously the cup competition, but it's the next game after that. They'll be wanting to get in a bit of form ahead of the young boys game. So if they can do that, can start quickly and get a couple of goals and really get the atmosphere going, then I don't think anybody would be complaining whatsoever. I'm confident that Celtic will get the result today, because it's knockout football and you don't get a second chance at this. There's no replays, so they've got to go and do it.
Yeah. Get your score predictions, guys, in the comment section. I'll read as many of them out as I can. Myself and Ryan will give theirs at the end, but got a couple already. Ryan, Jackie Dillon, 3-0 for her today. Thank you, Jackie. Appreciate that. Thomas Burns, famous name, of course, 2-0 Celtic. He's saying Anthony Mingus or Anthony Mendes, whatever way you say that. He's saying 3-0 Celtic. So, yep. 4-0 Natalie McMullen. Cardiff Carroll saying 3-0. So, I mean, everybody predicting a Celtic win. Ryan Edward by of Oz, 3-1 Celtic, and 2-1 says Helen, regular contributor. Thank you for that, Helen. And Mary Moyne saying as long as it's a win, she doesn't care. 4-1 Celtic says Marky T45, and John Milan saying 4-0. Happy Kyogo. There you go. He's saying that. And Danny Boy saying a bit closer. He's saying 2-1 the Hoops, a close game. And Hazel Finn saying 3-0 and Hatati score. Hazel, another regular contributor. Well, I think most people are confident, Ryan, but as you said, 3 out of the last 4 away games Celtic have failed to win, but that's been the struggles of late. Certainly not been struggling at home, so I'm expecting Celtic to come flying out the traps. I'm expecting a big response, actually, from the Dundee game in midweek. The manager was clearly unhappy with his defence, but he's kept faith in that defence, Ryan. I think that's the right thing to do. We both said that would be the defence that played, and Trusty's been given the benefit of the doubt after being labelled soft. Brian McGarry saying 3-0, and Michelle Gibson also saying 3-0 to the boys. So, yeah. Thoughts on Trusty, Ryan? Staying and keeping his place? Happy with that?
Yeah, because I think he's Celtic's best other defender, apart from, he's Celtic's best defender apart from Cameron Carter-Vickers. One bad game doesn't make him a bad player. He's had far more good games for Celtic than bad games. I would actually go as far to say that Cameron Carter-Vickers had a poor game on Tuesday night as well. The two of them did not help each other whatsoever. And it just goes to show you, when those two aren't performing well, at that, coupled with the fact of McGregor, they're two central defensive options for Celtic. Then you've got the defensive midfield, or the sort of the deepest midfielder. If you've got the 3 of them not playing, then that really stifles any creativity that Celtic have got. And it also makes them a bit nervous at the back too. You couple that with another couple of anonymous performances from the likes of Bernardo. If you tally all these up, then it's gonna have a negative and detrimental effect to the team, and that's what happened. That control in the middle of the park, both defensively and in midfield, was shown in the second half, and that's why Celtic dropped points, in my opinion. They just had no control of the game, and they allowed Dundee, who pushed forward and were really impressive under Tony Docherty on Tuesday night. That's why they got 3 goals, and they probably should have been walking out of their home ground with a win, if not for a penalty.
Goals change matches, Ryan, and we both watched Dundee score a lightning quick counter-attacking goal. And as soon as they got that, they just sprung into life, didn't they? And then even when they went 2-1 down, they still sensed that Celtic were vulnerable at the back and the guys weren't at it. And that's exactly what happened. And they equalised within seconds of Celtic going ahead. And I think that's what disappointed Brendan Rodgers most of all. He thought that Celtic would push on and go on and win the game comfortably, but they didn't. So, yeah, I agree with that completely. Now, more I'm seeing more predictions coming in. Most people are just saying they hope that Celtic win. 521 people joining us, Ryan, on the live stream before the game. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I'd started a message. I knew I'd started a message for a reason. Jackie Dillon, happy birthday. Celtic have to win for a birthday. Of course they do. Happy birthday, Jackie. Many Haggerty does indeed. Hope they do. And lots of people wishing Jackie happy birthday in the comment section as well. So nice one. But yeah, Ryan, it's looking like it's getting a wee bit more darker. So I'm going to ask your prediction and I'll let you go as soon as, if that suits you.
Yeah, I think it will be... I don't want to be too confident because that's kind of came back to bite us recently in terms of some of the scorelines. I'm going to go for 3-1 Celtic. No, in fact, no, I'm not. I'm going to change that. 3-0 Celtic. They'll keep a clean sheet at home. They scored 3 goals on Tuesday against Dundee, but they also conceded 3 goals. I want them to keep that clean sheet. I think that's important. Although, it's goal difference and win by any means necessary. There's no goal difference in the Scottish Cup. Just get through to the next round and that'll be you sorted. But I want them to gather a bit of steam ahead of the Young Boys game on Wednesday night. And in order to do that, they've got to put away Kilmarnock, who are the next team that are facing them. So 3-0, and I think Arne Engels is going to score from open play tonight. I've been talking about it for months. I know he scored against Hibs. It's one of those goals that I can't really remember. I'll need to go and watch it again. I don't think it was a particularly nice goal that he scored. It was a bit of a scrappy finish. But I'd like to see him score from open play. I think he'll have a good performance and really show why he shouldn't be on the bench. He should be starting 90% of the games for Celtic.
Celtic coming in saying, my first goal, Celtic to win 3-0. Chris Murray saying 3-1. I said in my predicted 11s, Ryan, that Celtic would win by 3 clear. So I'm going to join you in your 3-0 shout as well. Gary Thompson, 4-0 Celtic, commenting for a friend, he's saying. And Rio Gillespie, 4-0 Celtic, easy money, he's saying. So there you go. Lots of confidence abounding, Ryan. Celtic stand between... Kilmarnock stand between Celtic in the 5th round, Ryan. It's all about being in the draw for the 5th round of the Scottish Cup. 4th round, well, whatever Brendan Rodgers says, the defence of the competition starts here, isn't it? Defence, going to win it. One of the commenters saying, I think it was Robert Gibson, said he was only talking about it's not a defence unless you get to the final, you got to defend it. For me, this is the first defence of the title that they won, i.e. the Scottish Cup. So it's the defence. The defence starts here of the trophy that they won. Yeah.
When
correct.
A boxer goes and defends his title, he defends it against everybody when he's the current holder of the trophy. And if he was to lose by KO, TKO, or by the judges, or by a doctor stoppage, etc., it would go to the other person. So, in my opinion, I would agree with you, Tony. Every game is a defence of the trophy, because if you lose, then you've lost your defence. And you don't have the trophy anymore. It will be going to somebody else. So Celtic begin their defence of their trophy today. Brendan Rodgers can say what he wants, to be honest, with regard to that. I don't mind, as long as Celtic win games. But for me, it's the first defence of the trophy this afternoon / evening.
He's also right. It's a must-win game, so I agree with him in that sense.
Knockout football.
Yeah, he can dress it however he wants. I'm not going to argue. I just found it an intriguing way of phrasing it, to be fair. But yeah, guys, I'm going to let Ryan go because it's getting a wee bit dusky there, Ryan. I'll let you get yourself set up for the match. Enjoy it, fella. Guys, whenever you're watching it, it's always result dependent. You always hope for a Celtic victory. We'll be back on after the game at some point, and look out for the instant analysis, the player ratings, and there'll be Q&As up there as well from ourselves. And if you look along the strap line, going along the bottom, we're doing a pound deal, and it's great. You get your transfer latest and in-depth analysis, comprehensive news, exclusive interviews, daily videos, all for logging on to www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Cost you £1, Ryan. We think it's value for money as we attempt to grow the channel, don't we?
We certainly do. Yeah, £1 for 6 months. You'll get all of that, plus access to our app as well on the Google Play Store and the App Store on iOS. So all you need to do is go to www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe and get involved. That'll be you sorted for the next 6 months if you do so. Pledge £1, back us, and we will do our best to bring you the best possible Celtic news by Celtic fans for Celtic fans.
We'll be back on, as I say, after the game. Ryan, you get yourself ready and go and enjoy it. Enjoy it wherever you're watching it, guys, and we will reconvene and see you soon. And hopefully Celtic will be in the 5th round of the Scottish Cup.
Cheers, guys.